The expectations for Anthony Richardson this season are through the roof. You got many people who believe that he could be in for a similar season as to what Cam Newton had in 2015 with the Carolina Panthers when he took home league MVP that year. And Anthony Richardson, for me, I think he's going to have a really good season, but I'm not as high on him as what a lot of people are who are hyping up the Anthony Richardson hype train. To me, he slowly has become a little bit overhyped because we seem to forget what was the biggest knock on him when he was coming out of last year's draft, which was his lack of experience. Now, every game that Anthony Richardson seemed to play in last year, he seemed to get better. But there was still some things that he needed to clean up that were only going to come with experience and repetition. But we didn't get to see Anthony Richardson get the needed experience and reps that he needed because he got injured within the first 4 to 5 games of last year. So you still have a quarterback going into year 2 that still is fairly raw. His footwork still needs to improve. He only completed 56.7% of his passes when he was throwing from within a clean pocket. His D-ball accuracy still needs a lot of work. Anthony Richardson is far from a finished product. And I don't want this to sound like I'm hating on Anthony Richardson, which I'm not. What I'm telling you is that what you're going to see out of AR this year is a lot of flash in the pan. He's going to have some games when he goes off 24 or 31 passing, 275 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But you're also going to see some moments where Anthony Richardson shows signs that he still has some ways to go as far as being an elite starting quarterback in the NFL, where he may throw for 170 yards, complete 11 of 25 passing for maybe 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. You're going to see a roller coaster ride out of Anthony Richardson in year 2 because the questions that we had about him from his rookie season still have not been answered. Do we know completely that he's going to be able to live up to his potential? Yes, we know that he is being coached by one of the better offensive minds in the league, but we still have a lot that we need to see out of this man before we should start anointing him as a future MVP winner, because although he isn't top 10 in MVP odds, he still has been a hot bet on the MVP market. In fantasy football, I've seen him go as high as QB8, QB7. I love Anthony Richardson. I think that he has insane upside, but we seem to forget that he still is far from a finished product. And I'm not finna say that he's going to be as good as what 2015 Cam Newton was, when that MVP year out of Cam was something different. He carried Carolina on his back with Ted Ginn being his number 1 wide receiver, not really having a great supporting cast. He really was Superman that year. To put that kind of expectation on Anthony Richardson, who still needs way more polishing, I think it's a little bit unfair for him. And that's how you set these quarterbacks up for a make or break year 3 when it really shouldn't be. Anthony Richardson, his first 2 years in the league should be viewed as developmental years. I'm not viewing Anthony Richardson as a legitimate MVP candidate until next year. I think 2025 is going to be the year that we see AR put it all together. But for right now, I think that we should slow down on the Anthony Richardson hype train, especially if you're playing fantasy football and you're trying to find a good fantasy quarterback. Yes, the rushing numbers are going to be there, but you're going to have some games where you roll with Anthony Richardson as your QB1. He may go off, and he may also stink it up and lose you that week in fantasy. So we should just slow down before we try to anoint Anthony Richardson as being this Cam Newton clone, but hyped up to 100% capacity. When you look at the athleticism that he has, he's 6'4", 244, 255 pounds, running 4.43. This dude is a freakish athlete. Nobody's denying that. But it takes more to win at the NFL level than just being a great athlete. I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson can't throw the football. All I'm saying is that he hasn't showed us yet that he has the ability to be a consistent passer. He still completed under 60% of his throws last year. All right, the accuracy still was a problem his rookie season. Although he was a lot better than what most expected, he still has some ways to go. And even with Josh Allen, he made a big leap his second year, but he was nowhere close to being the quarterback that he is now in year 2 of Buffalo. What we should be looking for out of Anthony Richardson in 2024 is growth and maturity as a passer. Not expecting this man to have a Cam Newton-esque season or to put up MVP numbers, although that's what you would love to see. But I just don't want it where he doesn't end up living up to this MVP hype, or he doesn't be as good as what the fantasy football community believes he can, and then people start souring over Anthony Richardson going into year 3. When we knew when Indianapolis drafted this dude last year that it was going to take at least 2 years for this dude to start playing at a really high level. He wasn't a CJ Stroud kind of prospect coming out of Florida. He was somebody that if you drafted, you knew it was going to take some time for him to figure it out. I'm not riding the Anthony Richardson hype train as much as what a lot of people in the national media are trying to say. He's a dark horse MVP candidate. He's going to put up 2015 Cam Newton numbers. Let's just hold back on that until at least 2025. I'm not hating on Anthony Richardson. Don't try to call me a hater all because I'm saying let's just have some more modest expectations for him, considering the fact that he still is very inexperienced and needs more reps to get better. That's all I'm saying. If you call me a hater in the comment section, I promise to God, I might block you off my channel. Because that means that you didn't listen to a damn thing that I just said for the last 4 to 5 minutes. Let's just hold up on the Anthony Richardson MVP hype. Let's hold up on trying to anoint him the next Cam Newton. Let's wait until year 3 where he has a full season of being fully healthy under his belt to then assess his MVP chances. I'm not willing to bet on him being an MVP candidate in 2024 this year. I'm just not. I just need to see more consistency out of him, and we didn't see that year 1 in Indy. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Shout out to my guy, M. Sparks. He says, no, all the above. I'm a Steelers fan. I go to Baltimore every year. Hate their fans, too. Kate Rowan says, yeah, I see now that was a stupid question as there's been much talk of the Steelers and Wilson as the QB madness. And Spark says, hope Richardson is not injury prone and he can succeed in the NFL. Me too, man. Like, Anthony Richardson was definitely one of my favorite prospects coming out. I got a homeboy that's really close with Anthony Richardson. He's a hard worker. I believe he's going to succeed, but this season, I don't think he's going to be as good as what a lot of people think he will be. I still think there's going to be a lot of inconsistency there with his level of play. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, and there's going to be some really ugly games. But for the most part, I'm still viewing year 2 for Anthony Richardson in the league as a developmental year for him. I'm not really putting a lot of stock into him having a MVP caliber season or being 2015 Cam Newton.